Hello everybody, this is Joe the Maniac. I'm here today with another Collect-A-Thon video where I show a various toy or game that I've accumulated over some time, and I'll show you where I've been, where I'm at now, and where I'm going. So for right now, we're going to take a look at Nintendo 64. And this was a pretty fun console back in the day, and I still find fun with it even now. To start things off with the collection, we'll start with the console itself. And as I mentioned before, the expansion pack is put in there. That was actually included with very few of the Nintendo 64 games later on in its lifetime. Donkey Kong 64 included this, so that's how I got my version. And it was important for the game itself. That's why it was included. You all know that stuff. Let's move on. We have 5 different controllers here. Well, sort of. I mean, 3 of these are official Nintendo 64 controllers. I remember getting this one with the actual system, as well as this one, which may have either been the same package or separately, but at the same time got it with the system. This one I got more recently from eBay. The only problem with it was that it was a split wire. It's just a matter of, patching that up, and then it could be used successfully, just like the other controllers. The back 2, however, are not made by Nintendo, but are intended to be third-party brand controllers. And if I can read that carefully inside of here, let me see if I can get to that real closely. It says it's made by Interact, just like that. Super Pad 64 Plus. I didn't really find these to be very useful in the long run. I mean, temporarily it was okay, but there were things missing, such as the actual knob on top of it. I did get these used, so that's why the knobs are missing. Occasionally the slow and auto buttons that are shown on the front interface would actually cause more problems than actually do anything useful in the game. And occasionally the buttons would be sticky, so I don't use them that much nowadays. But I just wanted to make a note that it was in fact a third-party thing that I had with the systems. And it was compatible, just not as well as the originals. And then we also have this adapter, which actually would plug into the back of any of the controllers. Any of the official controllers, should I say. Because these... Oh, wait, they do actually have an attachment back there. I wouldn't try it. But they do attach in the back of here, and you could plug in different Game Boy Color games into this area. So here is a look at all of the Nintendo 64 games I currently own. Now, I have played plenty others outside of this, but these are the only ones I have physical copies for the actual system. And some of them I do have ports for other systems as well. But, take a note, this is actually less than half of the NES one in terms of physical cartridges. So, yeah. I'd like to work on that if I could, but I know that some of these games can actually be expensive online, so I might just get the ports or downloadable versions for future consoles. I remember when I first got this, my brother and I both got it at the same time for Christmas around the year 2000. And I feel like that was important because of what I'll mention a little later in the video, actually. It's a fun story. So I got it around the year 2000. So it's been out for a few years at that point. And not only did I get it as the main console and the 2 games, or the 2 controllers, but I also got Rugrats in Paris, the movie, because at the time, I was still young, and my brother was still young too, and we were into Rugrats, so naturally, that seemed like a good fit of a game for us. For a very short time afterward, I remember either that same Christmas, or maybe even, just later that month, around my birthday in January, I got some games, and my brother got some games, including early on, I remember getting Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask with the strategy guide. And getting Donkey Kong 64 with the expansion pack, which is still loaded inside of here to this day. Pretty sure it was just in there, didn't need to change it after that point, and why not? It'll still stay there for a long time. I also remember early on that I played Pokemon Stadium, or at least I remember watching some of my family play Pokemon Stadium on the Nintendo 64 in different houses, and it was a fun time. Even just watching it, it looked so cool for its time. We'll take a look now at all the accessories and games that I've collected, and I'll give my thoughts later on. So now we've seen the various games and things that I've collected for the Nintendo 64. I will have to say, yes, it does seem a little tacky that I included in this list third-party, controllers and things, but it seems significant because it was something I used at the time to play 4-player games, and definitely brought people together more. There are actually a whole bunch of this stuff that I've gone through in and out of the collection. Some of it wasn't really shown on video because I don't own that copy of the game right now. And some of it I own now that I didn't own way back when. Around the early 2000s, I remember that my local library used to rent video games in a small section in the kids section. This included games from the NES and the N64, and a few, very few, from Sega Dreamcast. In fact, later on, that's how I got some of the games for the NES, as some of them were marked with the public library still sticker on there. And I don't remember if all of these were like that too. I do also remember buying in store at Blockbuster the Super Smash Brothers. That one I do remember. Just different memories at different times. And there were a bunch of these games that I used to rent from the library. Of course, you had to give them back maybe a week or 2 weeks later. And long time afterwards, really wanted to play them again. But I didn't know exactly how I was going to get to that. Around earlier this year, I got to that. I went to eBay, tried to look, did careful research to find games that would be in good condition, still playable, and I got a whole bunch of them that really boosted this collection quite a bit. If not, there probably wouldn't be half as many games here as you saw. A whole bunch of them, including Star Soldier Vanishing Earth. I remember that being a fun game to play. It was a blast. It was, what else in here? Top Gear Rally, I thought was okay as a game. It was, it was a doable racing game. Clay Fighter 63 1/3, I thought was, hilarious. Very interesting in its style. What else was in there? Blast Corps. I remember my brother playing that one a lot, and I had fun with it just by watching. I really liked the music in that one for some reason, more than the game itself. The game was a little iffy to control, though. Beetle Adventure Racing, that was fun for me as a racing game for its time. And yes, I have played Mario Kart 64, I just didn't own a copy of it. Again, that was one of the ones I rented from the library, but I didn't buy that copy back because right now it's more expensive than most of the other games on this list. Banjo-Kazooie, I remember at least seeing gameplay of that, seeing someone else play it in person, and I always wanted to play it myself. What else was in here? Lego Racers, I never actually played this version of it until more recently, but the reason why I got it is because the PC version that I always had, well, doesn't really work so much anymore now that I've upgraded the PCs. And it also keeps bugging out on my computer, so yeah. It seemed appropriate to just go to the console version for it. I prefer that sometimes with consoles versus PC versions of the game. There was also F-Zero X. I remember that one being so much fun. Really good music, really fast, very colorful, very, very, very F-Zero. Pokemon Puzzle League, I can easily beat that, but I always have a fun time with it. That's probably one of the games on this list that I still play the most today. Competitively, I'd play it a 2-player part with my sister, and we'd have a really good time with it. Pokemon Stadium, occasionally I played it. Pokemon Snap, occasionally. A few others in here, just play them every now and then. More recently, I also did get the Nintendo 64 green controller, also an eBay thing from when I got some of the other games. The only problem was I still need to fix up the actual wire with this one, but for the most part, it was nice to get, and I'd be happy to play more with it. I used to play a little bit of Super Mario 64. I actually got through halfway of it on a Virtual Console version on the Wii, but I don't have that copy, and I need to get that some way again. Again, that one's more expensive in the Nintendo 64 version than if you get a downloadable content version elsewhere. Shadows of the Empire from Star Wars. I remember that one so difficult. Oh, man. But it did, get me more into the Star Wars music. It was so catchy. Got me more into it a little bit more than the films for some reason. But these were, for the most part, fun games. I didn't really mind the polygonal shapes as much, you know. I mean, today they don't look that great, but for its time, I still enjoyed them. And you might have seen earlier that I showed this in the video. This is actually an adapter to work with Pokemon Stadium. I have Pokemon Yellow, and I was able to adapt, you know, compatibility with that. So you could actually bring in Pokemon from Pokemon Yellow into Pokemon Stadium, and it was pretty cool. So, overall, this is still something I like to play every now and then. I don't play it too much, but, you know, I still have some fond memories with it. I forgot to mention some of the other games I don't have here. Some other ones I didn't mention earlier in the video. I think there was like a 3D chess game. I don't remember exactly what it was called. There was Tetris Sphere, which was a 3D version of Tetris. If you think of like the 3D version of Pokemon Puzzle League, think of that, but in a sphere, obviously. Wetrix. I found that one to be a very interesting type of game. And I'm sure there are some others. I may put them somewhere in the comments or in the description below if I get to remember them. But there were some good memories with this, and this was definitely one of the more recent consoles in which I went back to get more games for it, even though it's been long since retired as a system. And it's pretty cool. So thanks for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time with more videos. Let me know if you had any fond memories with Nintendo 64 games or play more recent versions of them on your home consoles.